Welcome to Augusta University, where you have the opportunity to learn and explore at a pace unlike any other university.
We live our values through innovative programs, a diverse student body, and collaborations across disciplines for the best student experience possible. Whether it's cheering on our Jaguars, studying in the amphitheater, cruising down the Savannah River with campus recreation, or taking a stroll around the History Walk, there are so many ways to enjoy the beauty of our campus and city. Well, good morning. I guess now it's technically good afternoon. Welcome to the fall kickoff. I don't know if this was your first one, or maybe you've lost count, but we'll try to see if this is the best one. I can't promise that, okay? But at least I know the lunch will be good, and the gift, I think, as well, you'll be impressed with. So, but I know you're not just here for that, right? But I just want to welcome you. Thank you for being here. And, this really is a special moment. One of the few times that our faculty and staff come together across the university as we kind of celebrate successes from the past year, look back, but also with a lens towards the future and a preview of some things coming up in our university. So I have to say, for myself personally, just moving here with my family just about 19 months ago now, I think I did this last year too, just want to thank you for how welcoming that you have been to Leanne and I and to our girls. And of course, some of you met our girls earlier this year, right at the tartan launch where they danced in the amphitheater. If you look at this picture, Kaylee is standing next to me and with her twin sister Ashlyn. So they are juniors now, it's unbelievable, in Lakeside High School. And so we're starting to have those college and career chats and those sorts of things. And then next to them is Bree, our oldest daughter, who we dropped off at college last week. And I won't go into too much detail with that right now, but it was certainly a sentinel moment. I think it's one of those things, people kind of warn you, more experienced parents, what to expect, but man, you just kind of, all those emotions flow, kind of everything when you drop your oldest child off for college for the first time. And that's what's going on right now this week here at AU. It started actually a couple weeks ago with our volleyball team and some of our underrepresented students, and then just the last 3 days in particular, right, this non-stop stream of students arriving with their families. I know many of you have stepped up and helped us as part of that. And it was one of those things, I think I was so profoundly impacted by the experience of dropping off our own daughter, is that we ended up doing a video for the parents here. If I can offer any advice at all or be helpful to them, it's just that, I can relate, as the Provost of the university, we will take good care of your children. And we also want the parents to be involved. Not, of course, helicopter parents, and I'm trying to avoid that myself, being a provost, that's hard. But know that they're part of our AU family as well. So what a special time here at the start of the year. It's always that excitement, that energy, right, that we all get from the new students arriving. As provost, as the chief academic officer of the university, it's important to me to still be involved in teaching and research. I just wanted to share this really briefly as we kind of start off, just so that my goal is to be a role model and to engage in these activities myself. And so if I reflect back in the past year, I ended up giving lectures across 6 different colleges. And for the faculty that might be here today that invited me to speak in your class, thank you. And I hope I didn't drag down your course evaluations as part of that. But I do always, I still consider it an honor and a privilege to be in the classroom and engage with our students. This summer I had the opportunity to mentor a Kerr student. Her name was Pooja. She was a professional scholar student, and after Kerr, she went right into medical school. And so she's an M1 student here at MCG, and she's going to continue to work with my research team throughout the year. I did obtain a graduate school appointment. I look forward to working with master's and PhD students. And then one thing I've done across the university, everything from our freshmen last year all the way to residents in AU Health, our career and planning workshops. That's a topic I'm very passionate about, is that perfect blend, right, that we all kind of look for in our lives of your professional career, but also your personal life. And we know those two are so intertwined, right? If you have something going on, good or bad, in your personal life, it can bleed over to your career here at AU and vice versa. And so the planning and talking about that to me is important, and I've had the opportunity again. I think this one is with maybe the psychiatry residents just a couple months ago. Research as well. Certainly, probably my days of having a big research program are in the past, but the president was gracious and allowed me to continue some of this when I arrived. So I did get a grant this year. I've also submitted a proposal which will be reviewed by a study section this fall. And I had the opportunity to present internally this past year to 4 different research seminars in the College of Education and Human Development, in the College of Nursing, the Georgia Cancer Center, and then the Institute for Public and Preventive Health. And that's, it's still, I gotta say, I really enjoy that. You're presenting research findings and what you're doing, getting that feedback from peers on how I could do things better or what they liked. And so I enjoyed that. I've had 10 peer-reviewed publications since here, another one in press. And then one in particular, I just want to spend a second on, was a national analysis of COVID, kind of looking back over the past 2 years. That was published in JAMA Network Open in January. Phil Kuhl, who some of you know at AU Health, was a co-author on that, and ended up getting a lot of kind of media interaction. You can see picked up by U.S. News and World Report, Forbes magazine, and others. And I think that's the kind of research that we do here at AU, research that matters. Again, we'll talk a little bit more about research later on. But today is not about me. It's about sharing about our university. And as we transition and kind of pivot, start talking about the university, I want to introduce to you, of course, our premier person in the university, and that, of course, is our president, Dr. Brooks Keel, a person who has 2 degrees from our legacy institutions, a person who's been an incredible role model to me personally, but just in general, someone who's engaged and continue to learn new things. Even just our meeting we just had at 9 o'clock, just remarkable of kind of how he operates. So please join me in welcoming our president, Dr. Brooks Keel.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And what a beautiful day this is. I don't care if it is raining. It is a beautiful day as we kick off this semester and kick off this academic year. And what a pleasure it is for me to just to spend a few moments with you, just to welcome you all here. I'd like to ask if you are a faculty member, would you please stand and remain standing for just a minute? All faculty, if you please stand. Don't sit down just yet, but ladies and gentlemen, let's give these folks a round of applause, if you would, please. Thank you. If this is not your first semester, please sit down, if you would. So all new faculty, please remain standing. And I want to especially give you a shout out. Would you give these folks a round of applause? And thank you so much. Thank you. We are delighted to have you here. Please be seated. We know you could have chosen anywhere to advance your career. You've chosen Augusta University, and we're especially pleased to welcome you here as well. And I can't thank you enough for doing that. And then lastly, if you're a staff member, would you please stand and let us thank you for all the great work that you do. Hear, hear. Thank you very much. The faculty are clearly the heart and soul of this university, and we applaud you and appreciate you, but we all know that none of us can get our jobs done without the staff. You are the unsung heroes across the board, and we are most grateful for all the dedication that you have to this institution and to our priority. We have one priority at this university, and if you're new here, you may not have heard me say it. I hope you never get tired of me saying it, because I never get tired of saying it. We have one priority and one priority only. It's our students and our patients. Everything we do at this institution is grounded on the concept of providing our students with the absolute best state-of-the-art education and training we can possibly provide, and the highest quality, innovative care for our patients. That's what drives this university and everything about it. So I'm really excited to welcome you here to that, and to welcome you to my university. As you've already heard, this is my university. I did my undergraduate degree when it was Augusta College at the time, my graduate degree when it was the Medical College of Georgia, and that was the whole institution. Those are two institutions, legacy institutions that were combined in 2013 to create what is now Augusta University. And for those of you who've been here a while, you probably already know this, but we ain't changing our name no more. We're done with that. We are eight or 9 year old university with a 194-year history. What an unbelievable opportunity we have, you have, to basically determine what this university is and what it's going to be. It is a blank slate. And I don't know of any other place in the country where we together have that opportunity to do that, to marry the legacy arts and humanities with the legacy basic and biomedical science and healthcare in very innovative and creative ways. And I know the provost will be telling you some of the great things that we have in store for us as we move ahead. So I look forward to getting a chance to meet you and to work with you. We're going to roll up our sleeves and do what we all do best for that single innovative priority that we have. And I want to say a special thanks to our provost. Neil's been, a year and a half now, I think, 18 months or so. He has done 18 years worth of work in 18 months, as you've already seen, not only personally, but also the innovative and creative thinking he's brought to this campus. I can't say enough about. Out of that, we have now a completely new way to do online education and a brand new dean of Augusta University online. We have a new school. I mean, how many times you get to create a new school of public health and so many other things, and a brand new strategic plan that he and Dr. Russell King co-chaired to bring together that I'm sure he'll be telling you more about too. So if you can't be excited about two things, one is about being at Augusta University, you need to go somewhere else. And if you can't be excited about this time of year, when students come back to class, you need to do another profession. I'm glad that you're here because you're excited about the university. I'm glad that you're here because you're excited about our mission. And again, I look forward to working with you. Thank you so much. And go Jags!
All right. Well, thank you, President Keel, for that kickoff. And if you're ready, I'm ready. You guys ready for this? All right, let's do this. So kind of the format. So again, I'm going to share a little bit about again our accomplishments, what we've done the past year. I'll also, I want to be open in areas that we can work on better as well. But then also hopefully some of our future direction. That will take about a half hour, and then you can watch me squirm as Rachel and Ricks will grill me again with questions. So we'll see how that works out. But looking forward to that as well. And then of course lunch afterwards. So there we go. So as the president mentioned, we have many new faculty and staff that have joined us. These are just some pictures from Wednesday, just 2 days ago, with our new faculty orientation. We have 213 faculty that have joined us over this past year. So that's wonderful, and it's great to meet many of those. And certainly, again, I know many of you were standing earlier. Make sure that you network and have an opportunity to meet other people during lunchtime today as well. We also have many new leaders at the university, and at the risk of embarrassing them, I'm going to ask them to stand as well. So Mark Austin, Rebecca Carroll, Mark Lane, Brandon McRae, Brad Bourne, Stan Singleton, Colin Stewart, Corey Vigor, and Christine Araki. If you could please stand and be recognized, are joining the leadership of the university. And then in addition to new folks joining us, we also have some folks that have been here a while that either are now serving in interim roles, were appointed to permanent leader positions, or perhaps some combination thereof. And so, again, I'm going to ask these individuals to please stand to be recognized. Melissa Brucato, Garrett Green, Margie Miller, Clay Sprouse, Jennifer Sullivan, Michael Brand, Suzanne Tatum, Karina Warner, and Stephen Wirtz. If you could please stand to be recognized as well. And then we have two individuals, I have to say, were two of the biggest risk takers at the entire university this year. So you might say, Neil, what are you talking about? So I created something brand new called the Provost Faculty Fellows. And really it was an opportunity to say, could we take folks that are really interested maybe in bigger leadership roles in the future and keep them here at the university rather than losing them to others? And so part of this was creating a one-year program. They spend half of their time with myself and my leadership team. They're privy to all the discussions that we have, good, bad, and otherwise. And the goal is that hopefully through this program that they won't shy away from leadership roles in the future. And so those two individuals, I have to say, it was a very intensive selective process. Are Amy and Vishal. So I think Amy's here. I'm not sure if Vishal's here. If so, can you please stand to be recognized as well? So Amy's back here. Yeah. And as I mentioned, I know they're doing halftime. I think Vishal actually might be in clinic this morning. So he's a cardiologist. We'll say that's okay, right? So he can be in clinic. So, when I arrived here to Augusta, again, 18, 19 months ago, one thing that really struck me about the area and its natural beauty are the oak trees. I'd never lived in a part of this continent before that really has these huge, magnificent trees. And, it's not just, of course, our Somerville campus in particular, but really the entire city of Augusta. And of course, there's a history with our university, with the Arsenal Oak, and how it's symbolized in what we do and who we are. So as I was thinking about today, hopefully this is not a stretch, but kind of using an analogy of an oak tree. And of course, what we see when we see a beautiful oak, right? We see the huge trunk, we see the branches and all the leaves, maybe the shade and all that kind of stuff. What we don't see, though, are the roots and what really help that tree grow and thrive. The nutrients from the soil, the water, the sunlight, all of that. But those foundational elements are key in order for any oak tree to thrive and to grow. When I reflect back on this year, I think we did a lot of foundational things that were really setting our university up for future growth and success. Some of those things we're going to see immediately, and I'm going to share some of that already. Some things those of us in the room, we're probably never going to see. It's going to be future generations that hopefully the decisions that we're making now at this time in the life of our university, that future generations will benefit from that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of these foundational things, some of how they're related to outcomes that we're seeing now and in the future as well. So kind of stick with me. I know it's a bit of a stretch with this analogy, but hopefully it's a different way perhaps thinking about what we're doing. So you can see I have to give Sergio a shout out. Sergio from DCM put together. He somehow understood what I was trying to describe, kind of, and put it together in this graphic. And if I think about this, our strategic plan at the very bottom, something we've put a lot of effort in this year, is one of those really core foundational things that will guide us over the next 5 years. So if you look at our new strategic plan, in there are mission, vision, and values. Our mission is to provide leadership and excellence in teaching, discovery, clinical care, and service as a student-centered, we heard the president just say that, student-centered, comprehensive research university and academic health center with a wide range of programs from learning assistance through postdoctoral studies. Our vision is to be a top-tiered university that is a destination of choice for education, healthcare, discovery, creativity, and innovation. And one thing as we went through this, we felt strong as a leadership team that the values we had before still are applicable today. So these are not new or original to this plan. Those 6 core values: collegiality, compassion, excellence, inclusivity, integrity, and leadership. So again, if you think of a foundational thing, that really is it with our mission, our vision, and our values. If you take a look at our strategic plan, I believe that you were past that kind of when you came in as well. There's really 3 what we're calling aspirational imperatives. Now these are stretch goals. These are things that are going to take a lot of work the next 5 years, a lot of focused energy to accomplish. The first one, of course, we've heard before, right? 16 by 2030. And I'll be talking more in detail of all 3 of these throughout this presentation. So this is not new, but we're basically confirming that yes, President Keel's vision is something we want to continue to aim towards, 16,000 students by 2030. The next aspirational imperative are really 2 around research. The first is to be a top 60 medical school in funding. We're in the 70s right now. And so if you look at medical school rankings really are based on research dollars. And so our goal is to improve that, to be in the top 60 in NIH funding. And also the twin goal, for those of you in this room that are not part of MCG, you don't get off the hook, because we're also looking at how do we gain R1 status. We actually just this past year regained our R2 status, which was a success, but now the top echelon of universities, and I'm going to talk a little bit more kind of how we're going to try to obtain that later on. And then finally as well, we have that name Augusta University. The president just talked about that. That's good news. We're not changing our name again because we'd have to change this plan. So Augusta University, hopefully that's a sense of pride, not just for us, right, but for the city of Augusta and our community. And so we'll be talking a little bit later on how Tina and others will be helping us as we aim towards that specific designation from Carnegie as well. So again, if you think of our foundational things, these are 3 what we call aspirational imperatives, really guiding things that will direct us over the next 5 years. In our strategic plan as well, our 5 strategic priorities, you can see them listed: discovery, learning, community, student success, and stewardship. And what we call interwoven priorities: innovation, engagement, diversity, equity, inclusion. Things that should intertwine and weave throughout all these. So for example, diversity, equity, inclusion. How does that relate to discovery? How does that relate to community? How does that intertwine? On September 6th, so less than a month from now, the leadership of the university will be coming together for one full day, basically to talk about how do we take these lofty kind of goals and strategic priorities that are important to the university and drill it down to each unit, apply to each unit. So whether it's IT, HR, whether it's an academic unit like the libraries or DCG, the goal is to talk about how do we apply it. And it's going to look different in every unit, right? We want to be able to tailor this for each kind of unit within the university. So again, not just an academic enterprise, but as a university, how do we support this? We're never going to accomplish those aspirational imperatives unless we're completely united as a university. It's not just the academic side, it's all the other units as well. So now we're going to kind of walk through this tree, and again, thank you, Sergio, for putting this together. So if we think of some of the roots, foundational things that we're putting into place this past year, 2 big things related to new academic programs, enrollment, and student retention, and launching a new school is AU Online and our strategic enrollment management plan. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about those in detail. So first of all, though, we are going to play Kahoot. So now, if you think way back, I know a few of you were here actually when I interviewed for this job, and we did it. And we weren't able to make this work last year, but I think we've solved that, so no pressure. But Kristen's back there, and we're gonna figure this out. And so I think we'll just give her a sec to kind of get the slide up and everything. But in the meantime, take out your phone. So something speakers usually don't say in a presentation, right? But take out your phone. In a moment, you're going to see a QR code flash up, so you can just go up and take a picture of that, and that will be kind of the quickest way to enter this. The other thing, there'll be a 6 or 7 digit number. Once you do that, you'll enter in, and then you have to create a username. Now, you could create a fake username, that's fine, but I do have, as you know, originally from Canada, I do have a Canadian chocolate bar here for the winner. So if you're interested in winning this, then you do have to kind of put in some username that you're recognized by. So let's give her a sec as she brings that up. So I kind of have a warm-up question to kind of get us started, and then there's 5 questions, and the poll is around how well do you know AU? All right, so how well do you know? I know that's not really fair maybe for our new faculty and stuff, but I know they just had orientation, so they actually might be okay there. There's also a few folks that aren't allowed to play, like the people that helped build this presentation, so we do want to make sure it's fair. All right, it's looking good. All right, loading, that's a good sign. I like that. Classic mode. All right, so here we go. You'll see in the top of this, okay, so there's the QR code, so you can do it that way, or if that doesn't work for you, just go to kahoot.it. That also will work as well. Oh man, look at that. Birdie's already in there. This is incredible. So we'll give you about a minute, everyone, to get signed in. I will have to note the folks that are joining the live stream, unfortunately you can't be part of this party because there's a 15-second delay. So you'll have to just enjoy the others and see who wins. So I apologize for that. We can accommodate up to 2,000 users with us. I don't think we have quite 2,000 here today, but that's okay. So again, once you get started, put in the game pin, put in your username, and then we'll give another 30 seconds here, and then we'll get started. Man, we're up to 175. That's impressive. Nursing is great. That's a pretty good username. All right, is there anybody who's not logged in? We're okay? All right, so Kristen, let's hit start and let's get this started. So Fall Kickoff 2022. You guys ready for this? First quiz. You got 10 seconds. And this is the test, a presentation with the title Fall Kickoff 2022 puts me to sleep, causes me to have a panic attack, causes my mind to wander, or makes me want to hear Neil. There's only one correct answer for this one. One correct answer. And look at that. Wow. Well, so I guess actually 6 people that did not answer that. Yeah, we'll have to have a little chat. So puts me to sleep, that really hurts my feelings, but that's okay. Causes me to have a panic attack. The good news there, I am a pharmacist, so I can get some medication to you afterwards. It causes my mind to wander. Okay, we probably are all going to be there at some point in this hour. All right, so congratulations. So we'll hit next here and see who's winning. Again, faster is better. You get more points faster. Ash Fox. All right, over here, Ash Fox is leading, so that's the person to beat right now. All right, you guys okay? We're going to move on to the real questions. All right, next, please. Okay, here we go. What is the student enrollment for this fall? And Susan Davies, you can't play, or Alexis Pope, you can't play this, sorry. Okay. So you got 4 options. What's the student enrollment for this fall? All right. So most of you, the most common response was 9,606. That was our enrollment last fall, a year ago. So you can see the good news, Mr. President. 9,859. Round of applause for the admissions team and all the faculty and deans. As some of you know, there's 26 universities in the university system of Georgia. 21 of them last fall had an enrollment decline. So this may not seem like huge to be up about 200 students, but let me tell you, it's an accomplishment in this environment. And so we're not quite at 16,000. Those 3 people that put 16,000, you're very optimistic. And maybe you have some secrets that the admissions team we need to talk about, right, Susan? So we'll talk to you later. Okay, most importantly, we'll see if Ash Fox is still in the lead. Oh, look at that. All right. Wow. And then Brandon S. is the highest climber. So congratulations, Brandon S. All right, next, please. What's that? Oh, okay. Oh. All right, how many faculty have at least 30% of their effort dedicated to research? How many faculty have at least 30% of their effort dedicated to research? All right, so the correct answer is 398. I'll talk of all the quiz questions I'm putting up now. We're going to kind of go into more detail later on, so I'll kind of leave that for now. But again, most importantly, is Ash Fox still in the lead? Next, please. Oh, there we go. Right up here, one of our IT team leaders. So congratulations, Doug. Okay, let's keep going then. Next, question number 4. How many faculty work at AU? How many faculty work at AU? And the correct answer is 1819. 1819. All right. So let's move on next. Who's in the lead? Is it Doug maintaining the lead? Oh, Doug. Joe. Who's Joe? All right, over here. So the registrar's office, they know all the data, right? So that's pretty good. So well done. All right. So next, we only 2 questions left. How many staff work at AU? How many staff work at AU? And the correct answer is 4,262. So the majority of you got that one right. We'll see if Joe got that right and how fast she got it. Next, please. Oh, Joe. Genoja, is that how you say it? Oh, yeah, okay, very good. Oh, my goodness. This is fun, like the leader change. Well, there's 1 question left. Okay, 1 question left. And again, that chocolate bar is sitting over there for the winner. So let's move on to the last question. Question 6 out of 6. What is the economic impact of AU on our region? The economic impact of AU in our region. How many billion? Tina, you should know this, I'm sure. Yeah. Oh, okay. So 2.9 billion, maybe 3.9 billion next year, but 2.9 billion for this year anyway. All right, so let's move on then. The most important thing, who won? Here we go. Third place. I don't have any prizes for third, sorry. Rudy. All right, well done. Second place, Doug. Nice. And number one, this is slow. Janoja, all right. All right. Here you go. Enjoy.
Thank you.
You don't have to share with anyone in your row either, so just that's yours. So. All right. Well, thank you for playing along. And again, we're going to go a little bit more, drill down a little bit more into all those facts that you just learned. But now you're all experts on AU, so you could probably give this presentation. So student enrollment. So as I mentioned, this fall right now we're at 9,859. Now, of course, we will lose some of those students because, with add drop and other things. But at the same time, that is an increase. And overall, that's an 18% increase since 2015. What's also interesting, is our student body certainly is increasing in diversity. You can see a 26% increase in student minorities since 2013. Still, about 2/3 female. And the other change, there you go, 2/3 female. The other change that's happened, which has been more subtle, but it's starting to make an impact, more students outside of Georgia. So this dropped below 90% for the first time. And then as well, now we have a majority of students outside of the CRSA. So to me, that's a good sign, right? The fact we're starting to get a reputation across the state, across the region. We actually had a digital communications meeting last week. It was interesting looking at who's looking at our website. And Atlanta is almost caught up now. People from Atlanta looking at our website is the same as Augusta. So certainly a good sign of things to come. All right, so now we've done Kahoot. Now I'm also going to ask, now I promise this is not super embarrassing, but I need 10 volunteers to run up here and make a line. So 10 volunteers, as fast as you can. I might have pre-selected a few people, but that's okay. You can come up too, that's all right. So a line here. Oh, come on, dental hygiene folks. You're all in on this, aren't you? No? Doug's, okay, Doug. Very good, all right, very good. Here we go, all right, we got a young volunteer. So how many we got? I'm a pharmacist, so I can count. Okay, there we go, 7, 8, 9, one more. Okay, in the back here, all right. So the first thing I have to say, you guys made the right decision because there is more chocolate involved. So I'm going to pass this out right now, just so before we forget it. All right, here we go. Yeah, there we go. Pay off the debts first. Here we go. I may have had one of these this morning, so I can vouch that they're good. Oh, All right. Oh, no, just kidding. Here we go. There we go. All right. So we're going to do a little bit of role playing, but this is not embarrassing and this is really, really easy. So we're going to pretend that all our volunteers here are AU freshmen. Okay, they just started with us this fall. They start classes on Wednesday, and we're going to do a bit of a time lapse during your time here at AU. So again, we've got 10 students. They've all started here at AU as freshmen, right? So we're excited. Let's give them a round of, they chose wisely, right? So everything I'm going to present to you right now is going to be based on data, and you're going to see the data in a few minutes. So we can 10 great new students here. If you look at our data, though, we're going to lose about 2.5, close to 3 after the first year. So unfortunately, the 3 of you at the end, go back to your seats. That's okay. So there we go. All right. We still got the chocolate. Yeah, that's good. All right, so now we have 7 students left. So it's a year from now. We've got 7 out of those 10 students left. Let's fast forward again. Now it's the end of their sophomore year. And so unfortunately, Trina, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Okay, we're down to 6. So we started with 10, now we have 6 students left. Now we're coming to graduation. And graduation, we have 5. So gentlemen in the end, sorry, you're going to have to go back without your degree from AU. So this is good news in that we have 5 graduates, but the story's not done yet. Unfortunately, about half of them, so 2.5, and I can't cut you in the middle, sorry, or maybe we should, that could be a magic trick, that's a different presentation. It takes 6 years to graduate. So maybe the 3 of you at the end, if you can go back to your seats, has taken 6 years to graduate. So the 2 of you, so congratulations, you've graduated, but you've also graduated in 4 years and with a chocolate bar. So let's give them a round of applause. So you can go back to your seats, thank you. So I'm going to share with you the data that supports that. And so again, if you look at our freshman year retention, the good news is we are up if we look at our fall cohort, but again, we've lost about 25%, right? I couldn't cut those people in half, but still not where we need to be. If you look at our 6-year graduation rate, you can see that, 50%. And if you look at our 4-year graduation rate, 25%. In the next slide, our student progression, which again between falls 2 and 3, is around 60%. So I have to, this, in kind of an honest moment with you, as the Chief Academic Officer of the University, of all the data I'm going to present you today, this is the data that really, that I'm kind of the least proud about. I think clearly as a university we can do a better job. It doesn't mean we're never going to reach 100%, right? We know that students have life changes or other things that happen, but at the same time, if we're making an offer to a student, to one of our awesome programs, and that student accepts that offer and comes here, to me that's a covenant, that's a promise that we want to see them through to graduation. Now the good news is, we have a president that cares about this, and earlier this year, he made an investment of his own personal, not your personal funds, but your strategic funds, the president's strategic funds, of $1.8 million recurring to do a better job of advising, of career services, of counseling, of analytics to try to predict, what are those students that are most likely to drop out. And so we're in the process of implementing those changes now for this next year. And it's going to be a little bit messy this year, the way we're doing advising and other stuff, we're in a transition period. But I think the end goal will get us, hopefully, to start to really move those numbers. So thank you, President Keel, for that commitment, and thank you for your efforts. I think those small things like smiling and greeting students, right, calling them by name, they really do matter. I think, again, myself, with my daughter now, Bria, in university, right, I'm wondering if she's getting that kind of treatment where she is. So, again, one area I would ask as your provost that we could collectively, I think do a better job. So our strategic enrollment management plan, this was a huge work that happened over about a 12-month period. Again, Susan Davies, I want to just thank you for leading this, but I know many of you were involved in this. And this was the goal of this. We have President Keel, of course, the vision of 16,000 students, but how do we actually make that happen? What's the roadmap? How are we going to get there? And certainly admitting students and creating new programs as part of that, retaining students, keeping the students here. But it's also about the things outside of the classroom or academic programs. Housing, transportation, dining, all those kinds of things and how they factor together. So for the first time in the history of our university, we have a strategic enrollment management plan, and you can see we are confident that we have a roadmap now to get to 1607. And you can actually see we're already right about where we needed to be for fall 2022. A couple of changes, you'll see that undergraduate enrollment is increasing, but it's really the graduate student enrollment we're going to see the biggest increase. And I'll talk a little bit more later on about the impact of AU Online on this as well. So we do have a plan now. I'm excited about it, and of course there's a lot of work to make that plan a reality, but at least now we have a roadmap to 16,000 students. Again, a piece of this, certainly, of that roadmap is the creation and launch of Augusta University Online. And I know, Mark, we're pleased that you're here and excited under your leadership. If I use that analogy again of an oak tree and kind of the stuff that's going underground that a lot of people can't see, that's kind of where the phase we're in with AU Online right now. There's a lot of stuff happening, but we're kind of not ready to go totally public yet. It'll be actually a year from now when we hope to kind of launch the first programs as part of AU Online. And what Mark's doing with his team and help of others is trying to identify what are those programs, those early programs, probably 3 to 5, that we want to pour a lot of energy and effort into that really have the opportunity to grow, that the faculty are excited about growing and teaching online. And so that's where our initial target, but over time, we'll certainly be rolling and developing more and more programs. So a lot of work yet to happen. but I wanted to share with you a lot of work has happened since Mark arrived with us in April, and next fall it's going to be really cool to launch this. So again, more to come on AU Online. The other exciting thing that President Keel mentioned as well is creating a new school. That does not happen every day. It kind of struck me as kind of odd, when I first arrived at AU, that we're the state's only public academic health center, and yet we don't have a school or college of public health. So think about that, what we all just experienced with COVID, right? Now, we certainly have folks doing public health here, and that's actually been really exciting for me to discover and to see that. And we have an accredited MPH program, so it doesn't mean that we're not doing anything. But to have a concerted effort together, that's really the goal of creating a new school. And so as part of this, we actually will be drawing faculty and staff and programs across 4 different colleges, MCG, the College of Allied Health Sciences, Institute of Public and Preventive Health. And actually you might wonder, what about the College of Education? Why are they on here? They have a program, an undergrad program in health promotion, which really fits public health as well. And so together, this is where we're headed, together on this campus. And so a lot of planning currently is going on behind the scenes currently to make this a reality. This fall right now, we're going to have some students here at AU for the first time in programs that never existed before. And that's kind of a cool moment. I mean, they're taking a risk too, joining us because there's not a history. 2 of those are a Bachelor's of Arts in Digital and Visual Storytelling. I don't know where my Pamplin friends are, but man, this was a marathon to get us to this program, right? To get Board of Regents approval, but we finally got it. We're excited about this, and this is really super excited about this program. We also have a Master of Science in Medical Physiology. David Matson is the lead faculty on this. And this will kind of serve 2 purposes. One would be maybe a pipeline into medical school, maybe students that don't kind of get in immediately out of their undergrad, they can do this, or pipeline into our research programs as well. Longer term, we also, hopefully next month, a month from now, we'll have approval from the Board of Regents for a Master's in Health Sciences and Speech and Language Pathology. Dean Pretlow over here, he calls us the trifecta of therapy programs. So we have occupational therapy, we have physical therapy, and we have speech and language pathology, right? So this will complete the trifecta. You can see the timeline is fairly long on this because there's a lot of accreditation issues. It's not on this slide because it's not a new program, but I know our Hall College of Business folks are also working on a new concentration in the MBA related to healthcare. That does not require board approval, but it is something that we're working on for launch next fall as well. And then academic programs and development. One of my earliest charges to our deans was for them to think of creative new programs that cross disciplines, that cross colleges, that might be attractive to our students. We've given them some tools and some training over the past year to help them make those decisions as far as looking at what are the hot topics, what are employers looking for across the country, where our competitors are looking. And out of that, you can see already 4 programs, Bachelor of Science in Biomedical Systems Engineering. It's got that engineering word on it, which is pretty cool. So that's, we're hoping will start a year from now. Bachelor, and that'll be the School of Computer and Cyber Sciences. Bachelor of Science in Neuroscience from our College of Science in Math. Earlier this year, they launched a minor in neuroscience, and this will really support as well as our efforts around TRIBA, that research cluster that I'll be talking about in a few minutes as well. Bachelor of Arts in Sports Management, led by our College of Education and Human Development. And lastly, a Bachelor of Science in Data Science, led by the School of Computer and Cyber Sciences. But all these programs, all 4, it's not just one college. It really, other universities would be challenged to kind of pull all of these programs off because of the uniqueness that we have. Just for example, the Biomedical Systems Engineering, that will actually be the first degree of this kind in this country. We're modeling this off a program in the University of Toronto. So that's exciting. These are really innovative, cutting-edge programs I think that will be appealing to a lot of students. All right, so we talked about student enrollment and growth and AU and on. We're not going to kind of shift our focus then to research. And again, if you remember those 2 aspirational imperatives, top 60 in NIH funding for MCG and R1 status. So that's really kind of the focus. And so this year, a lot of planning has happened. We'll talk about that and kind of talking about some initial outcomes of research. So one of those poll questions, if you think back a few moments ago, was how many research faculty do we have that have at least 30% of their time dedicated to research? The answer, if you remember that, was 398. Do you see the increase there? I mean, this is a really, really positive story for our university. My own bias as the provost is that faculty that don't have adequate time dedicated to research will will really not thrive and have large programs. You really need to have time dedicated to it. So look back at fall 2018. We had 301 faculty that really had at least 30% effort dedicated to research. We've increased by about 33% over the past 5 years. So that is a really, really encouraging sign. Second encouraging sign is our F&A, an indirect cost recovery. We had record indirect cost recovery this year, $22.8 million. That's money that we're using to reinvest, to hire more researchers, build out research facilities, invest in our course. Again, you can kind of see that positive cycle. The negative part, you can see actually our research funding did fall off a bit this year. Now, it's still one of our top 3 years ever, but again, certainly this is something that we are paying attention to. Now, I am very cautiously optimistic, though, that next year is going to look very different. I'm going to share with you why in the next 2 slides. The first is that as we're recruiting and building out TRIVA, of course, which is our first faculty research cluster. President Keel, of course, announced this last year. We've been starting the hiring process. This is about 15 to 20 new faculty around that theme of inflammaging and brain inflammation. So conditions like Alzheimer's, like dementia, we know there's an inflammatory component. These are researchers cutting across 6 different colleges who will be doing research in this area. So the first 4 have been hired. All 4 are coming with grants, none of which were included in last year's numbers. So very exciting, and you can see across 3 different colleges. Secondly, besides TRIVA, we also have established the Immunology Center of Georgia with really a power couple. You can see Dr. Lynn Hendrick in the picture, as well as her husband, Klaus Ley. Now, for those of you that are not researchers, this might be a new metric to you, but there's something called an H-index. An H-index. And that basically looks at your publications, the number of publications you've had, and how often other people have cited your work in their research. So it's a very powerful measure. I looked last night, Klaus Ley H-index is 151. That is unbelievable. So he has at least 151 papers that have been cited at least 151 times. That's incredible. So again, if we're talking, these are top-tiered people that are game changers for university. And it's not just the 2 of them coming. As part of the center is building a whole team around them. This really is kind of our second research cluster. So think about that. If we build out TRIVA, if we build out immunology, the next 2 to 3 years, we should be in a good place with our research numbers. At the same time this year as well, under Dr. Diamond's leadership, we established 2 new research cores. The first is around high-performing computing. This is about $1 million investment of our university, and Dr. Agrawal and Kearney from Computer and Cyber Sciences are leading that. And then also a qualitative research core that comes out of Pamplin College. Dr. Dustin, Holt, and Melissa Powell Williams are here. These 4 individuals here, let's have them stand up and get a round of applause as well. I think they are. Now, this was not planned, okay, so I just want to put this out. This was not like some predestined thing, but I've already been engaged in both of these centers, these cores. I have a proposal where we're proposing to use the high-performance computer, and then I have a grant that actually Melissa has been a co-investigator on. And Melissa, you've just been fantastic on this. The expertise that we have in Pamplin through this center on focus groups, interviews, all the qualitative research is something that's going to benefit our entire university. So really excited about these 2 new cores, and again, how they will continue to lift our research enterprise. The 4th floor of the College of Science and Math. Now, we presented this last year, admittedly, and we're a little bit behind schedule because something happened called inflation, especially if you're in the construction industry. So we ended up actually having to go back to the Board of Regents this past year and ask for get additional funding approved for this, which they approved. So I just want to thank, again, President Kiel, as well as Yvonne Turner and the whole finance team for finding that funding and not stopping this project and moving full speed ahead. And so construction will start in September with the goal of next summer, next July, to have this floor completed. This is critical because as we're hiring, especially those tribal hires, we're promising space in this floor. So think about that. They really can't start here and start their work unless this is completed. There's also space in this floor as well for some College of Science and Math researchers. So really excited about this brand new research space. We've also just completed another foundational exercise at our university, and that is creating a research facilities master plan. And that may sound super, super exciting, but let me tell you what it is. It's looking at our current research needs and also where we want to go, our goal, and looking at, do we have the kind of research space that we need? We engaged a consulting firm as part of this expertise that has done this across many different universities. And actually, just this morning at 9 o'clock, they did their final presentation to the President's Cabinet. And we're really excited now. Of course, they've painted the vision and where we need to go. Of course, now it's trying to determine, working with the Board of Regents, what we can fund. Part of it includes new buildings. Part of it includes renovating existing buildings. But the goal is that we provide state-of-the-art facilities that our researchers deserve. And so, again, it's going to be a lift to get there. There's definitely a cost involved. Research space is expensive. But at the same time, we've got a plan. The Board of Regents has been involved in creating this plan. And so at this time, I know we've got a new development team here. This probably will be one of their first charges. We'll be helping some of the fundraising for that. All right, so that's the research mission. As I talk about something that kind of cuts across research and enrollment, are our new international partnerships. And certainly AU has had international partners for a long time, right? Things like study abroad, and we've had individual faculty perhaps that have had connections. But one thing we've really been lacking is having a real strategic plan around deep, meaningful international partnerships. So moving beyond just study abroad and the odd faculty visit to true international partnerships. And so one thing we've tried to do over this past year is to start to develop, now we can't develop a ton of those because we're not a huge university, but can we find some partners that care about the same topics that we're experts on, for example, and partner deeply with them. And so we've created the first two. Actually, at this presentation last year, I kind of announced the Scotland Collaborative. So what's happened in the past year? Well, we held a virtual symposia called Converge. About 70 researchers and clinicians from Scotland and here in Augusta came together. Since then, we have faculty from the two countries already working together on projects and grants. In Robert Gordon University, who's one of those partners in Scotland, they've stepped up and they're going to be leading Converge 2022 this November. At the same time, we have a new agreement that's going to be signed where it includes, again, student exchanges, faculty exchanges, joint research, even thinking, could we create some new online degrees together, for example, in international rural health. So this initiative has gained a lot of traction this year. I just want to thank those in the audience that were part of putting this together. And we're starting our second collaborative with a university in Israel, Ben Gurion University, with a focus on cyber. You may not know that the Georgia Cyber Center was actually, the model was created from a similar facility in Israel. So this is almost kind of the circle of life thing, and we're going back to Israel, partnering with them. Dean Schwartzman and his faculty already have some research connections with them, and we're looking at partnerships, for example, in our PhD. We have a PhD program now in the School of Computer and Cyber Sciences, partnering with them, again, faculty exchanges, and this fall we'll have a first symposia, kind of like we had for Scotland last year. So excited about these first two international partners. When we think about kind of creating the foundation of faculty and staff and investing in faculty and staff, one thing that struck me really on a personal level when I was first doing my tours here, Dr. Davies had arranged some focus groups where I had an opportunity to meet with graduating seniors. So this would have been around kind of March, April 2021. And there was one moment in one of those focus groups where we had an underrepresented minority student who basically said, Provost MacKinnon, I'm glad you're here because I'm just about to graduate. I've been here 4 years and didn't have a single faculty member that looked like me in the classroom. And think about that, 4 years here. And so that really pulled at my heartstrings. I asked our Office of our Associate Provost for Faculty Affairs and our Chief Diversity Officer to put together a proposal on, how can we do a better job at recruiting and retaining diverse faculty. President Keel funded this initiative, made the decision to fund this in last July, and so this past year we've been rolling this out. And you can see some of the stats here. We've awarded over $350,000 both to retain and recruit faculty. The third component of this, which is exciting, which actually starts next week on Monday, is visiting scholars. And so we've invited diverse faculty from other universities to come here, spend some time with us, do some research. Maybe we'll entice them to move here. Or even if they don't move here, hopefully they'll have a good experience and send their graduate students our way as well. And so those first two visiting fellows arrive here on Monday. So if there was actually a Jaguar article I think came out yesterday that talked a little bit about this as well if you want more information. So let's talk a little bit more about our faculty then. And so I think Dr. Basciano, our Faculty Senate Chair, is here. Let's give him a warm welcome as well. So this past year, actually, the Faculty Senate bylaws were changed significantly. As part of that, you might say, well, Peter, wasn't he the Faculty Senate Chair before? And yes, he was, but with the bylaws, it was kind of reconfigured, and he's just has begun a new 3-year term in that position. So I'm really excited about the partnership, Peter, with you and the leadership in the Faculty Senate. This year we have 1,819. Remember that was one of those trivia questions? That's 90 more faculty than we had last year. So it's nice to see that growth in our faculty, and certainly that supports our enrollment growth and our research growth. And then you can also see on the slide, we also have a lot of faculty that either were awarded tenure, promotion, or promotion and tenure. If you're one of those, could you please stand to be recognized? Promotion, tenure, or both? That is a massive accomplishment. Of course, this April we kind of had our first ever kind of faculty award celebration, but man, it's something you don't just celebrate once, it's something that's ongoing. So that's our faculty senate and our faculty at the university. Our staff, right, this was another trivia question. How many staff do we have? So we have 4,262 staff. Is Tiffany Smith here today? Tiffany, are you here? Wasn't sure if she could make it or not. She might be joining on the live stream. So thank you, Tiffany, for your leadership as you take over from Wade Caldwell. And again, you can see the breakdown of our demographics as far as our staff. And this is a little bit off script here, but I also, I'm up here today. You're all looking at me, and it's kind of, the lights are on me. But I got to share, to put this together today, the work that's from the staff over the past, 2-3 months has been incredible. And so that includes Holly and the whole IE team that compiled a lot of this data, the IT team, including just everything. Kristen, who's back there, actually, she was in my office twice yesterday. We were problem solving problems. DCM, Sergio, who I mentioned, did the graphics. Kelly and the whole team here. We've got some students. Manna, who's working here. One of our students who's manning this camera for the first time as part of her training here at AU. Let's give our staff, again, another round of applause. And of course, that doesn't include the Provost office staff, and many of them are going to be greeting you when you leave with lunch and a gift. So they're very special as well. So that brings us to our third and our final aspirational imperative. And I'm not going to spend as much time on this, but there certainly is more to come. And again, I'm using the analogy of a tree, right? You think of the impact of trees on their community and vice versa. So whether it's air quality, places of shade and just relaxation, there's that interplay, right, between trees make communities more beautiful. And so for us, that name, again, Augusta, is critical, and we need to do even more, I think, with our community. So the good news is, again, this is one of our aspirational imperatives. We'll be trying to achieve a Carnegie classification for community engagement. So again, Tina, just want to thank you in advance for your leadership. I know a lot of work. And she'll be forming a team. It's not just Tina. I don't want to pick on you. It's a whole team around this. But man, it would be fantastic if we could celebrate this, in 4 years. And the final, this was the final question, right, that you were asked, kind of what is the economic impact? And look at that, $2.9 billion with a B. I mean, that is truly, now it's not everything's about money, but man, if you think about that, we're making a huge impact. Especially look at that, over $200 million in student spending at Augusta University. So we truly have an impact in our community. It's something we can celebrate. And I think, of course, we all live here, we work here, and again, how do we even take that to the next level? So kind of just ending before I kind of get grilled by Rayshawn over here, going back to the oak tree analogy. Again, it's part of our history and who we are, this relationship with these beautiful trees. And hopefully today, maybe challenge you to think about, our university a little bit differently, how there's stuff going on in the roots, in the soil, and nourishing, and that's going to help us to thrive and to grow more. It's also what we see on the outside, right? So more students, more research, those sorts of things. But together, I think, we have this special calling in life in higher ed. It's a noble cause. the chance to make a difference. And again, I'm just really grateful for this opportunity to share these thoughts with you, and thank you for attending. So with that, I'll call my colleague Vishal up, and we'll see what he has planned next.
Well, first, thank you for inviting me to come back. I know we were here last year, and I feel like I was too easy on you last year, so we got to kick it up a notch.
Great. Okay.
But I do recognize that you are our provost, so nothing too crazy. But getting started, you just mentioned about announcing the new School of Public Health coming. What other things that you didn't already mention can you tell us to get us a little bit more excited about this new school?
Yeah. And you're right, it is an exciting thing, right? Again, creating a new school is a special moment in the life of a university. And you're right, there's a lot of stuff, again, almost like AU Online, that's happening behind the scenes that not everyone can see, but we are working on. One of the first things, of course, is recruiting the founding dean for that school. So our dean, Jennifer Sullivan, she's here somewhere, has agreed to chair that search committee. We've put the search committee together. There she is up there. We're just finalizing kind of the search firm that will be leading that. Hopefully that search would start within the next month. Part of it, though, is also the physical move, taking about 60 faculty and staff from those 4 colleges and institutes and moving them up to Science Hall. You know, Science Hall is a great building with great bones. It's about 18 years old, but there's still some renovations that need to happen there. And so I really appreciate the partnership of Carla Leeper and Ron Booth and our facilities team. And we have a firm that's going to be helping us really design those spaces. So they'll be working with the leadership of the new school to make that move. And then finally, you know, it's not a small and insignificant detail, but, you know, we need to become accredited too. So we have an accredited MPH program, but it's a shift. It's different standards when you become a school. And so we'll be working with the national body for accrediting public health schools, making them aware of where we're going and asking for their advice. So yes, it's some big steps to happen, but the end goal certainly is very exciting.
It is very exciting. So some of these questions that we got came from faculty, and one of them was, when will faculty be given the opportunity to evaluate their deans and department chairs? Faculty are evaluated by their students and their direct supervisors, but will there be an instrument for faculty to complete that will allow them to evaluate their dean's performance as well as their college environment / culture?
Yeah, well, first of all, I guess, thanks whoever the anonymous person was that submitted that. Luckily, it didn't say evaluate your provost as part of that, but no, I mean, I think that, if I could take away, there's kind of 2 parts to that ratio, and part of it, I think, was the last part, culture and climate. And as you know, we completed about a year ago our first climate survey that was really led by our Chief Diversity Officer. I know Dr. Green, I think he's in the audience somewhere, Garrett Green, our interim Chief Diversity Officer. So I'll be meeting with him to talk about, when do we need to repeat that? Because if you look at our initial data, there's some units that we're doing better than others when it comes to culture. And so I think we now have the baseline data, but that's something we need to do about every 2 to 3 years to see if we're improving or not. So that's the culture piece. I think the performance piece of individual deans, you're absolutely right that whoever asked that question, that's important. Now, certainly I do annual performance reviews, evaluations with all of our deans, but that's different than I think what this person's asking, which is like a 360 input from faculty and staff, alums. So the good news is, for whoever asked this, the USG has just required that. So all 26 universities in the system will be adding this. We actually have a committee working on this now. It's a joint committee of the faculty, senate, and administration to figure out what should happen. So for example, if you look at UGA, Georgia Tech, and Georgia State, the other R1s, they all do it a little bit differently, but it's about every 4 to 5 years that there will be a comprehensive evaluation. So that's probably where we're coming. It's something we have to implement. We have to finalize. We have to tell the USG by December what we're going to do in that area.
So perfect timing for that question for whoever asked that. So you talked about some of the changes that will be coming to the health sciences campus, like the structural changes, and everyone has opinions about the future of what our Somerville campus should look like. And even though you aren't the sole person to make those decisions, what do you think, or what are your thoughts on making our campus more suited for the students and the programs and all the changes coming to the institution?
Yeah, well, that is a good question because, we certainly do a lot. There's a lot of activity that happens in Somerville, But in some ways it is a bit isolated, and then we don't have resident halls here. We don't have some other things that perhaps other universities might have as well. And so, yeah, I think I realize that there is the opportunity to do more. I mean, the good part is we have space here. We have lots of surface parking lots. That's a problem that many universities have, is they don't have space. We clearly have that. As I just shared in this presentation, we just finished this research facilities master plan. We haven't done a university campus master plan since 2014. And so, in speaking, I think, with Dr. Leeper and some others, it's something that we'll start next year. And so that will be something that will engage the whole community. So not just, Neil the Provost, but, for the faculty and staff that work on Somerville, what do they want to see here? And so that will be exciting to go through that. I think if I think back to what we got out of the research master plan, it was pretty cool to see people's dreams and visions. So we're going to be repeating that, so it's probably too early to say. At the same time, I did mention, of course, the School of Public Health going into Science Hall. We are looking at renovating more of the warehouse spaces for creative arts. I don't want to go into more detail, and so the president might have an announcement at some point about that. But clearly, I mean, we've got lots of opportunity here with the land and building on the solid foundation that already exists. So more to come, I guess, on that one.
Next question. What are some of the ways having more diverse faculty improve AU's environment and breeds thinking outside of the box? As you mentioned with that new initiative, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah. Yeah, well, certainly, I would hope by the year 2022 that folks realize, that improving diversity improves any organization, not just higher ed, right? So you want different perspectives. And I think, certainly things like gender or race or ethnicity or age, those are things that we all can agree we need to do, better on. I think in higher ed, there's also, you would add on to that, I think, diversity as far as disciplines, right? When you have teams that come together, like, for example, TRIBA, right? Having 6 different colleges, that's a different way of thinking of diversity, but really, really important, of having folks from different disciplines and backgrounds. As some of you know, I'm a pharmacist by training, but I spent 2 years in a public health school in the University of Arizona, and I was surrounded by people that weren't pharmacists, that didn't think the way I thought, and that was, looking back, a really powerful moment. I think some of our work around international activities will help as well. Wouldn't it be great if we had more international students here? We had more faculty with international backgrounds. It's a different way. For those of you that have traveled, maybe in the past year to different countries, right? You always kind of learn things and take away from that. So clearly, there's no question it is something we need to strive towards. This new initiative with faculty will be really, really important. When we created it, at the time, I asked Drs. Browder and Townsend to make sure that we had very clear metrics on whether it was working. And so those are built into the program. It's not just something we're going to do. We want to make sure, are the things we're doing as part of that actually working? Are we actually retaining people and recruiting people that we want? So more to come, I guess, on that one as well. But clearly, it's something that we care about as a university.
So this summer, which I'm talking about this on season 4 of the podcast, we recorded our first episode, and it'll be out on Tuesday for those who are interested. So I stepped my toe into online school, and we just announced more details about AU Online. So how do you see AU Online fitting into our campus plan and that growth? Yeah.
So you say you actually started
I did.
Tell me more about that, Vishal. This is like news to me. You're just springing this on me now.
So, you're going to have to listen to,
Okay, yeah. True.
the next week's episode for all the details. But yeah, it's been a very interesting summer. I started a graduate program that's fully online. So
no way, okay.
It was very interesting that we will now have, I guess, something similar.
And it's in the wild, that's right?
I wish.
Okay. So, well, hey, I think as we talked before, Augusta University Online is one of our major initiatives moving forward, and really, again, really grateful that Mark and he starts to build his team around him. But let me allay any concerns. We're not trying to become University of Phoenix, and we're not converting every program to online. That's not the goal. We're also not creating a separate online college. The curriculum will continue to be owned by the faculty and such. So what we're trying to do is, I think, maybe some lessons learned from COVID, where every university student and every high school student and every middle school student and every elementary school student in this country spent some time learning online. And so it's not a complete foreign subject. All of our faculty now have spent some time teaching online. And so again, not that this is not going to work for every kind of learner or every kind of faculty, but I think for us, if we can reach more students, perhaps students that are open to online, students like yourself, actually, Vishal, you have a regular job and trying to fit in, especially that's the power of asynchronous online. If you're you don't have to be in a classroom or in front of a camera at a certain time. So that is our goal. We're going to be very selective. We want it to be high quality, a concierge level service to students. We want it to be an additional support to faculty, so not something as an add-on, but really supporting our staff and our faculty. But we're expecting big things too, and I know Mark knows that. If you look at our initial enrollment projections out to 16,000 students by 2030, about a quarter of those will be online if we get online right. So it'll be a big part of our university. Again, not meant to replace what we're doing, but certainly meant to be another way that we can reach students perhaps that we weren't reaching before.
So you've been alluding to it all afternoon about the grilling session. So now we're going to put you in the hot seat with some hot seat questions. So I got 4 questions for you. We're going to start off at 60 degrees, and we're going to work our way up.
All right.
So, first question. Your eldest daughter recently moved out to begin her own college journey. Yeah. Who cried more during your goodbye?
I think you're already at 100 degrees. That doesn't feel like 60. Yeah, well, and I'll be open. I mean, nothing to hide here. The way we said our goodbyes, I knew my wife probably needed a little bit of extra time, so we drove separately because we had so much stuff, to bring down to Statesboro. So I said bye to Bria first. So I was in her dorm room, prayed with her, and held her hands, and then she broke down. And I got to tell you, Rachel, I did all I could to hold it together, and I did. As soon as I got in the car, I was a wreck. And so that hour and 40-minute drive, up Route 25 up to it was hard, but she's in a good place. I think it's just those transitions in life, right? For those of you that have children in the audience, right? We raise them to be independent. We want them to be independent, especially financially, eventually independent. I think we're in a good place, but I also am not going to guarantee that more crying won't happen in the future. It probably will. So
that's very different from me getting dropped off here because I was speeding, getting to Augusta, probably turning in like a vehicle on 2 wheels, trying to unload all that stuff. I was excited to start my journey. No tears were shed with me getting dropped off.
You didn't get a ticket though, did you?
No tickets.
Okay, good to hear.
It was my mom's car that she let me drive, so she was probably excited for me to move out too. But 70-degree question. Over the past few months, the university has announced its strategic plan. Which part of the plan do you think will be our university's biggest challenge to accomplish?
So the biggest challenge in the strategic plan? Man, I mean, those 3 aspirational imperatives are all stretch goals, right? 16,000, the research one, and community engagement. I mean, if I had to pick one, I think it's probably the R1 status, and this is why. We're already doing great research, but as I've learned more from IE, what it takes to get to R1, they did an in-depth analysis looking at all the universities that transitioned from R2 to R1 over this past year. There were about a dozen or so. And I learned something new. The area that we really need to strengthen, to be honest, if we're ever going to get R1 status, is non-STEM. So non-STEM research and non-STEM PhD graduates. So if you think about that, that's a long timeline to develop new PhD programs, to see your first graduates. I mean, that's not something you'd even do in a few years. So there's probably not a guarantee we're going to. Hopefully we'll put some foundational steps, but that's going to be a big one. So especially for those of you that are here that are non-STEM folks, I mean, this is not just an MCG or DCG or health campus or or cyber thing, it's going to take the entire university. So I would say that's the biggest one.
I feel like you've been doing pretty well so far. So
Okay, good.
The heat has
Where
not
were we
yet.
up to now? Like
So we're at 80 degrees.
80 degrees, okay.
So we've got new degree programs coming to our campus, which you announced, some starting this fall. Which program would you select if you were a new undergrad?
Oh, wow. First of all, I probably wouldn't be accepted to any of them, if I'm being honest. I'm going to go way off the grid here and say the digital and video storytelling. Just because, it seems like fun. I mean, this is a horrible comparison, but I see the TikTok videos my daughters make, the ones that they show me anyway, and man, it's just, that's the language that a whole new generation is speaking, and I think that this program, we fought really, really hard with the Board of Regents, so I really wanted to succeed too. But I think it's just with what we have going on in Georgia with film, and it could really be in a fun degree. So I don't know if there's a way I can still enroll or not, but yeah, I think that would definitely be the one I would choose.
Same here. I'm mad at Mr. Mark on that one.
Yeah.
I graduated too soon. 90-degree question. Which college or academic unit keeps you the busiest?
I think that's like a 120-degree question. So. Wow. Man. That's like, which child keeps you the busiest? I mean, I don't know. Let me just say, I love all of our units the same. I'm going to go way off the grid again because we have a new dean in this area, but I would say libraries. And, okay, I think that probably is way off the grid. And the reason, and I'm not trying to embarrass, Dean Warren, who's up here near the front, who I'm staring at right now, but, he really is coming, and libraries has never had a library dean before. So I think, that level of leadership, the ideas that he brings in from his previous institutions, coming in the middle of renovating Greenblatt Library, we're putting the new entrance in Laney Walker, we're trying our hardest to get a cafe in there, we're doing a student one-stop, and then of course, Dean Warren comes with a lot of ideas for Reese too, and just how the way we think about libraries, in particular as we've moved to digital media, but also out of COVID, he's been challenging me almost on a daily basis, and we just as a university just made an investment of $500,000 to increase subscriptions in the library. It was his argument saying, we're way lacking of where we need to be. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with that library. So there we go.
How diplomatic of you. All right, this is our last question.
Okay, I'm gonna take a drink of
100-degree
water.
question. I feel the anticipation from y'all already. From the moment you arrived on campus, you've been a champion for research, including your own projects. What are some ways you'll continue to promote research on campus as we strive to be a top research Carnegie school?
Okay, actually, I feel that's more about 45 degrees, but that's
okay.
okay. Yeah,
That's fine.
It's okay. It's okay.
You survived all the other ones.
Yeah, I did. No, that's. And maybe it's kind of a deceptive question because there's a lot of depth to it. So I probably won't hit the depth that you're looking for, but I think it's probably twofold. I mean, one is, as I shared, trying to be just a role model myself. I still enjoy research. I care about it. It's a fun thing to do. And I think, when you have, whether it was, that JAMA paper I talked about that, other people seem to pay attention to, or maybe it's a project where, it doesn't really get read by a lot of people, but it just felt like it was an important piece of research you needed to do. There's a lot of satisfaction in that, right? So for those of you that do discovery or creative works or scholarship, I don't take that freedom lightly. The fact that, faculty, of course we want them to be funded, but at the same time, really can choose. It's a really interesting thing you don't get in the corporate world, for example. You're told you're going to work on this project. For faculty to get to select their research and become experts on it is something, and of course we want them to succeed. I mean, that's how it's going to increase the reputation of our university. So I think that's the second part of that is probably the more challenging, where we are in that special category of research-intensive universities, only four in the state, right? But I think if we look at those other four, the other three, they look a little different than us. UGA, Georgia Tech, Georgia State. So we've got some work to do. And so, whether it's the research master plan that we talked about, whether it's investing in cores, more research clusters, and that's to get where those other three are. It's going to be a heavy lift. But I'm excited. I think we've got some fantastic people doing some creative research. I want to have so many cool research stories that our DCM team, including yourself, gets overwhelmed, right? That we have such a good message to share. So I think we're on our way with that. So.
Thank you for surviving the hot seat.
All right, thank you. All right.
Let's give it a round, y'all.
Well, before we wrap up for lunch, let me just thank Rayshawn. I think, as you know, he leads our podcast in the Wild, our one and only official university podcast. But Rayshawn, as I've enjoyed getting to know you the last 18 months, you and actually the whole DCM team, to be honest, just do fantastic work to support the faculty and just lift our whole university. So, Rayshawn, you do it all with humility and grace, and again, just thanks for taking it a little bit easy on me today as well. So thank you for that. So with that, I think that actually wraps it up. So there should be lunch waiting for you outside, and also a special gift. So good luck, enjoy, and let's go. All right.